back to Open Your Eyes and joining us for our first conversation this Monday morning. It's all about credit card payments in Belize. And here to talk to us are our friends from Belize Bank. We have with us on the couch Naim Borges, and he is part of the credit card governance office at Belize Bank, and Christoph Nicholson. He's also the card governance manager at Belize Bank. Gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
We've been having this discussion about credit card, specifically credit card scamming and fraud in Belize. And we don't necessarily have legislations that protect us, but you all at Belize Bank, by law, really do have to have certain mandates in place in order to govern the different credits and debits within a system. Let's talk about how that works, particularly in your office, Christoph.
Good morning. So definitely we have a full unit at this time. Like you said, it's the card governance unit. We noticed for about 3 months now, we have changed the organizational structure to include a new unit that focuses on acceptance, on fraud, on mandates, and on disputes. The protection of our cardholders are very important to us. And we know with new technologies, we want to ensure that we lead the market. It's not just about implementing what is there now, it's about bringing what we know, MasterCard, the Visa, the brands, that they have for us to use for our cardholders.
I think that for our Belizeans that are watching, this comes at the heels of credit card scams that we found out through the BPO sectors and how that has affected businesses here in Belize. Now, these cards and the identities that were stolen were not from Belizeans. So really there is nothing that the law in Belize can do. But if we find ourselves in a particular predicament such as this, what can we do as citizens and as businesses?
So for our cardholders and for merchants, we do have what I know Paul has been reported extensively on, the 3DS, 3D Secure. If you're a cardholder, what that does, it allows our cardholders to authenticate the transaction. So if you're doing a transaction for the first time or for one of the e-commerce, you will see that you'll get a token, a MasterCard identity check. You'll have to say it's you, authenticate, before even try to authorize the transaction. So cardholders are protected with all our MasterCards. From our merchants, we have a great e-commerce solution that now, if you are a merchant, you want to challenge, we call it the 3DS challenge, that allows to push the liability from the merchant to the cardholder. So any merchant who has our e-commerce, they would definitely change the liability structure from the merchant to the cardholder.
So explain that in the context, explain that for us, Christoph, in the context of someone who has taken possession of your credit card information fraudulently and is making a purchase. Are you saying then that once it is flagged that the individual who's using the card, even if it's not me, for instance, maybe April took possession of my information and is trying to transact with it.
I am a Sonic item.
Does that liability falls back on me as opposed to the merchant?
Well, it comes at you because now you have to authenticate. So at that time, the transaction won't go through because now the merchant has sent a request to the cardholder to say, is it you? Can you confirm that it's you? At that time, the challenge would have expired because you're not seeing your phone. If you do see something come up, then definitely with our features, our self-service features, you can block your card, you can temporarily block it, or you can even request a new card if you see something went through.
So it works on both fronts, right? It works dependent on the card holder and it works dependent on the merchant, right? If, like you said, you get a hold of your credit card details and you try to punch that on a 3DS merchant website, it will send a notification to the card holder or to the issuer, and the card holder will see that on their mobile device, on their computer, wherever they're banking, right, online. And they can review the transaction. It will say, hey, are you trying to make a purchase at this airline, for example? And if you're on your phone and you're saying, well, I didn't do any purchase, you can click decline and the transaction will not go through, and they can retry, and you won't get successful transactions, right? And then if you see that they're attempting multiple times, you could use your online service and block your card and request a new one, because obviously your card has been compromised, right? So it's all about self-service features.
How often have you guys observed this kind of illegal activity taking place, where people attempt to use others' credit information to either make a purchase or do some other financial transactions online. How often or how prevalent is that from your point of view?
So fraud is very prevalent. Definitely it's not as prevalent in Belize. We see a lot of international countries that they would attempt on the card without you even know, right? We do have a lot of rules in place to ensure that we prevent those transactions from going through, and it protects our cardholders. So 100% security, much safer than using cash. That's what we want to tell the public. You know, if you have your card, you can always use it at the merchant. You don't have to worry. If they steal it, you block it and you're good. With cash, if they steal it from you, that's gone, right? So definitely it's easier.
Well, let me pause you for a second there, Chris. I'm bringing a good old school argument.
I was going to say,
in my mind, and perhaps others share the same opinion or view, that nothing is safer than a hand-to-hand transaction, right? If you're the merchant and I am the prospective customer and the item costs $50, I come to you with $50, that's complete. Payment made, product received, I move on. But if we're dealing with a card, some people think there are so many other associated risks with using a card or transacting on the digital space or what have you, that maybe it's unnecessary for them and they just stay with the liquid cash.
So two things. We have the disputes process, right?
Yeah.
For fraud, we automatically give you back the money once you say it's a fraud. There's a 3 months period where you'd have to wait. We work with you. We work with MasterCard or Visa, and at that point, you get back the money. One, with cash, the money is gone.
Yeah.
Secondly, we have our dispute if the goods stop work, if the goods is defective. With cash, the merchant may say, "Hey, you bought it. That's on that's on you." While with your card, you can dispute for defective good. So we can bring a dispute for multiple reasons, including defective good, fraud, if it's services not received, if you went to a hotel and something happened, if you had a cancellation and the agreement is not, you thought you were supposed to get back the money. If you pay with cash, you can consider that funds dead to some extent. So with card, we have the process that you can go ahead.
To add to that, Tisani, I think keyword here, risk, right?
Yeah.
What's the risk of a physical cash transaction versus the risk of a card transaction? Well, for a merchant, I mean, if I have so much cash, if every customer comes in and transact with cash, that increases my risk of one being robbed and losing all of that money.
Yeah.
Or I then now have to hire someone to go to the bank and deposit that funds. It's all about risk, and as a merchant I would be more inclined to take card payments, because once the card has been tapped, that's funds already in my bank account waiting to be deposited, right? I don't have to go to the bank, I don't have to hold all of this cash, I don't have to hire security guards and that type of stuff. And the card payments industry has really been easier to do on physical transactions as well as online transactions. Everything is tap and go in these days, right?
It aligns with that shift to a cashless ecosystem, so to speak, right?
And definitely for the card present transactions, we don't have much fraud on that, because once your card is there, sometimes you may have to enter your PIN. That's 100% the merchant would win. Now, we seeing your card there and the indicator said it's a card present, that's clear. Now, when the card not present, that's where we have to go by all the mandates and the rules by the brand to see, okay, the card wasn't there, did you do 3DS? And we have to go, there's a couple things that we check. And we try to navigate to see, okay, whether was it you or was it not? And based on the evidence submitted, then it can go for ruling.
What would be some of these evidences? And I'm asking strictly because sometimes you don't even really know that something was taken, right? And I know that you all have now all of these other security options, but not everybody banks with you all, right? And so when it comes to just the absolute credit card itself, the information perhaps being stolen, the card being stolen with just tap and go, not everybody asks you for your PIN, you just tap and go. So what are some of the challenges in that area?
So we always tell customers, your card, you have to keep it. Once it's your card, ensure you know where it is. That's why in February, we launched a full self-service system where you can block your card, temporarily block it. If you believe you're in the office, I think I left my card in the vehicle, just put it on a block. If not with you, you don't know the risk, you can temporarily block it. The evidence for card present is very hard, because the card being there, they will say it's you. It's your responsibility. Now the card not present, then you can just say, hey, it's not you. You have no knowledge. At that point, there's no evidence that you would need. What we will check though, if you had history with the merchant. So if you made a purchase before, that's a little bit tricky. Also, when we're challenging or disputing the charge, they will say, hey, it came from this email address with this phone number or at this location. So some people try to be creative and say, hey, they didn't do it. But it comes back with all the information. You shipped it to this US address, which is a shipping company for Belize. You ship it to a family member. So so there are a lot of things that we go through to see, okay, is it really you or was it really you?
How do you all but approach the issue of also in Belize not having these sort of legislations that protect persons against credit card fraud and scamming?
That's a bit difficult. There is not legislation, but there are other ways where we can say the bank we take a proactive approach to ensure that the governance of both our cardholders, because we fight for our cardholders, but at the same time we're acquiring banks, so we have to fight for merchants as well. It's a balance that we need to try to make to ensure that the fairness is fairness. If you did the transaction, you have to pay for it. Without the law, we have to sometimes determine the best approach, and then if it has to go to the brand will go to arbitration. That's a $500 US fee that you'll pay if we have to reach there. So we warn customers that, do you think that you really didn't do it? Are you sure that you have the supporting evidence? Because if we have to take it to the last stage, if you lose, it would be on your end.
Wow, and I think that we don't really think about that, because no, we don't. And I would imagine that just as much as you all have to tighten up your security, persons that are out there committing the fraud and committing the scams are also getting a lot more creative with the way that they do these things, right?
We're living in a time where, people people are as creative and as inventive as they can be when it comes to breaking the law. So the people who are there to protect the law have to be equally as sharp and perhaps 10 steps ahead of the people who are there to break it.
And that's basically what we fight with every day, right? So fraud, how do we fight fraud? How do you combat fraud? And it's always thinking one step ahead. So there's always these mechanisms, these informational videos that we try to educate our customers. Education is key, right? Knowing what to do with your card data, knowing how to use your card data, minimizing your card data being exposed, even if it is using your online banking. All of that plays a key role in protecting your information. And then of course, we do our best in the back end to minimize fraud, and like I said, scammers get creative every day, and you just have to be one step ahead of them.
When somebody comes in and says, I want to acquire a credit card, I want to be the owner of a credit card, what sort of advice or what is the legal process, and how are you all as Belize Bank officers able to ensure and assist that your customers are protected?
Okay, so once they meet the criteria in terms of having the requisite funds, this collateral, what they need for the card, we definitely go through the cardholder agreement with them. We tell them what they're liable for, what they're not. Again, we always push the card present transaction, especially both cardholders and our merchants. We have a tendency right now to our merchants and really to punch in the card number. That is definitely going to get you in trouble. And for that reason, we're moving our merchants away from the POS terminals where they enter manual entry for the card numbers to using the e-commerce solution. Our e-commerce solution is two ways. You can do it through the API, integrate it to the hotel. I know you've booked rooms or booked flights, automatically the payment goes through. We have that solution. Secondly, if we have a pay by link. So if you need, you can create your invoice within our e-commerce solution and send it to them via text message, via email, and they can put in their own credit card numbers so that it can generate the 3-day solution for them to authenticate. So we work with cardholders to encourage them to tell them of all these processes, what they should do, what they shouldn't do. We send out reminders to both our cardholders and our merchants. The last one we did was in December. December is a high season. People travel, people use their card a lot to spend for different gifts. So we just remind them of what to do and what not to do. We have to have that constant engagement with our customers.
A lot of this hinges on digital literacy though, right?
And financial.
People, yeah, the financial literacy comes a little afterwards. You're talking about the use of apps, and modern technology in terms of banking and understanding the financial system. Do you believe, based perhaps on your experiences, that the majority of Belizeans who use your particular institution are digitally literate?
Definitely. We've seen a huge shift since we launched our self-service solution. Definitely for the first people were like, it's a bit more, it's too much to do. But really, I can tell you the significant change in the mindset of what you need to do. Customers are really appreciative of what they have to do now. They don't mind. First, it was a burden to go back and authenticate, to look through your statements, to get all these alerts. If a purchase goes through, you get an alert to say, hey, this went through. But now they are really on board. I think majority of our customers, they have no problem. They love the solution, the self-service solution, whether it's just getting alerts through your app or through your SMS, or even just being able to go online to do much more and to do it instantly. That's where we're at. We're more at doing things instantly now.
Yeah, I think Isani's question comes at the heels though of the story that we broke, and the persons that usually get scammed are the vulnerable, meaning those that are not digital literate and the elderly and so on.
So what we've done, with digital literacy, you have to have online banking, right? What our front customer service representatives are doing is they're having these sessions, especially with the ones that are not as tech savvy. They sit with them, they enroll them to online banking, they tell them, okay, this is where you can find everything. It's very important that you monitor. I mean, maybe not log in every day, but at least monitor your text messages, look at what you're getting approved for, and just kind of taking that extra time out to inform our customers on how to use the platform, right? I think it's more than just telling them, hey, the platform is there, use it. It's more about getting down there and letting them know how to use the platform itself, right?
As we are coming down to the wire, I know we talked a little bit about what you all do to ensure that you assist your customers to try to prevent these sort of incidents from happening. But our viewers might be wondering more or less, like, do they have to really pay these sort of these charges once the credit card has been stolen? Even if they rebuke the charge, if they don't see it come back to their bank account, they're not seeing any sort of movement, what can be done?
So like Christoph mentioned, there's a dispute process, right? If it's a fraud case and you report fraud on your account or your credit card, you immediately get that funds back to your credit card itself, right? It's reversed to your credit card. You get a new credit card. You won't see that charge on your credit card. It will be reversed, right? The bank does what it needs to do in the back end, communicate with the network, communicate with the merchants, and try to get that funds back. Now, for non-fraudulent cases, there's dispute processes that has to be done. There's conversations that has to be done between the merchants and us, which is the issuing bank, and then whatever transpires or whatever result of that conversation, and we let the card holder know, hey, you won the case, or there's more information needed. Perhaps did you do it? They were seeing that someone else did it from this email. Do you know this person? That type of stuff, that type of conversation happens in the back end. But just to tackle the question, if it's a fraud case, you get it immediately to your credit card, right?
Awesome. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us this morning. I think that our viewers are content with the information given, and of course, if they have any questions for Belize Bank, where can they they can contact us. We have our online secure message center we call BB Assist. If you have your online banking, it's on the taskbar at the bottom. You can click it, send us a message, and our agents will respond to you immediately, right? If you feel like you need to call us, you can call us at 227-7132. That's within working hours. If it's after hours and you really need credit card assistance, let's say you lost your phone and you can't block your card, you could call 227-5033.
and our agents will be more than happy to help.
Wonderful. All right, we are going to take a quick break, but before we do so, we want to leave you with the motivational moment for today. And the motivational quote goes like this: life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards. Life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards. And that is a quote by Søren Kierkegaard. And I'm pretty sure I pronounced that wrong. But it is right. All right. That was our motivational moment. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you. Thank you too.
We are going to take a quick break. And when we return, it's all about storytelling through mixed media with Maureen Navarrete.